to Talk Together. This is our post-show wrap-up for Call of the Void. There were terrible dice rolls. There were emotions. We've had a week to recover from that because this is coming out a little bit later than it usually does, and it's probably for the best because it was a dramatic finale. Before we get into it, though, this will run for about an hour. I should probably check the time that we started recording so I actually know when an hour's up.
7.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Em. I've seen
Come to you from the future.
The stream will run for about an hour until 8:20, but not your time because you're watching it at a different time, wherever you are in the world. And we're delighted to be sponsored by lovely people like HeroForge and Ultra Pro and Phoenix Dice and Alchemy RPG. And we're also supported by Idle Champions, Neverwinter, Elderwood Academy, and D&D Beyond. These are all fantastic people. We're also amazingly happy to be sponsored and supported. Those are words. We're also amazingly happy to be supported by our Patreons on Patreon. Our D20 Club, they're brilliant. They support us from as little as one of your local currencies per month, and one. And they do things like they've enabled us to get a Discord and our wiki and all sorts of cool things, and you can come and hang out with them and be cool. And if you want to find us anywhere else, we're here at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg, or we might not be. We might be on YouTube or on a podcast. And if you're watching us on Twitch, you could go and find us on YouTube or on a podcast by searching for Roll Together RPG. And the same with all the socials. Hopefully, you'll be able to find us. We should be searchable. Okay, I've rambled. That was messy. So usually we would roll dice. I have a list of questions to discuss Call of the Void and the things that happen. But I've got a couple of little talking points I also wanted to bring up as well. So I just wanted to start with the final episode. How many nat ones was that? Is that a record? For how many nat ones? Like everyone rolled one, right? Did anyone not roll a nat one?
I think at one point I had 3 in a row, which was pretty atrocious. It was a bad day. That's all I'm going to say. I'm surprised anyone got out of it alive.
It was, I thought I was killing Georgie right off the get-go with that nat 1. I was very grateful that all it meant is that I basically just screwed up trying to heal him. I thought I was going to have you dead. I was like,
You were trying to give Kiss in the Kiss of Life. That was
just kissing.
Put in the kiss.
Just a little peck instead.
Yeah.
nah.
You meant to get out a plaster, but actually you get out a scalpel and plunge it into old George's chest. Why did you do that?
I fixed it.
Air holes.
Yes.
But it was incredible to watch, but I imagine quite stressful. Although none of you looked like angry. I know Tom, the experience of dying was stressful, but it looked like you took it in good sport. How did it feel?
Because I was editing stuff for the TikTok and I put that moment up, it's the fun of watching me realise, and I think Sam can also see it. Lola doesn't, and Lola's sort of like just smiling, and then just go, Tom, what have you done? And literally it's like, if I'd rolled anything else, we would have been fine. At just that point of just like, because we edited it and then it was just like, how are you feeling? I'm like, not great, but I understand the plot. And we're like, cool, back into it. So Pip's dead. I was prepared. I was like, yeah, this is going to happen. Wouldn't that be fun? And I was like, it's not fun. It's just sad. Yeah, sweet Pip. Innocent little, well, not innocent, poor Pip. But he's fine now. And then of course, I try and torpedo everything. I was like, and then I'll just leave and I'll never go home and I'll never see my husband. And then everyone's like, no, shh. Where's that? Don't be with your husband. Yeah. Why won't people let me embrace the void? I just want to be sad and alone.
The void, she called.
She sounds like Georgie's mum.
I did wonder when, after what you'd said about like, oh, I should leave, and Georgie had persuaded you to at least like tell Ogden face to face rather than leaving a note. But then as Nutmeg being like, I want to go and do things with Ogden. I was like, you're brilliant, just twisting the knife. That's evil. I love it. But then you actually were persuaded. So it felt like we went through the whole like, oh no, actually it's okay.
I was talking to Chris, and Chris was like, well, that would have been quite a good ending for the character. And I was like, I know. Everyone else wants a happy ending. I just want to be a sad old man sitting in the woods with a giant elk going, I'm fine, I don't need people. I tried. I went on my hollybobs, and then look at me. I died.
I went on my hollybobs and then I died.
It's the worst of the hollybobs.
There's nothing worse than having to get back into work after your holiday, so
True.
they've had to go at any time.
Welcome back, Jack Dion. Turns out there's an angry tree. He's like, all right, okay. Oi, stop throwing apples at people. Yeah, that's the level in the forest, yeah. Yeah, slowly. Actually, M just keeps killing her. As the ancient antics. You've got David, you've got me, you've got 3 more people. You can kill Evie next. just
What, Evie? What has Evie done?
Evie has done absolutely nothing wrong. It's that Parks and Rec. Evie has never done a sin in her life. We know. But who could say?
Well,
look at Sean's smiley little face. Who could kill old Georgie? Yeah, no, look, he's weeping.
Other than his mum?
Give it a good go.
I was right. Right. I was always like, you can't trust mums. This is weird, necrotic, evil stuff. And it's like, yeah, I learned nothing.
I would like to thank the people in chat at that moment who defended Valka when it came to dissing mums, because Valka is probably not been the best mum in some respects, but she's not sacrificed her child.
No, I mean, she forgets that she has one child, but it happens.
Yeah.
You lose children; they just disappear sometimes.
Yeah. The olden days, you just one falls out of the basket, you carry on cycling, and you never look back.
Oh yeah, you open the door and there's an extra one, and you're like, I guess you live here now. Would you like to go down the mines? That's 1820s living, yo. Yeah.
That was the basis of the British economy. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Back onto the rails. In terms of other emotional things that were happening in the finale, we had old Georgie desperately trying to rig the straw poll to stay and be the Lord of the Boneyard? What was it? The Lord of the Domain of Dread. What was the actual
Bone Lord?
Yeah, the Bone Lord.
The Bone Lord.
Daddy Bones. Yeah.
Not the Bone Lord. Not the Bone Lord, not the Bone Lady.
No. Lord of Bonetown.
but Bone Mummy, I think, was
the Bonetown Rat.
Yeah, there you go, the Bonetown Rat. That's what Robert could be.
Rat.
Yeah.
How was that? Obviously, as a player, were you sat there thinking, I don't want to lock off old Georgie from never being able to play him again, so I kind of want people to oppose this? Or were you like, no, I was a bit weak? How did you feel when a Carabao was like, I'm just gonna charm you?
I mean, you can read into this what you like. This is the first time that Nick and I have spoken since it happened.
That's really quite impressive. I'm pretty sure we hung out for like 15 hours, but okay.
Yeah, no, it was one of those situations where it was like, I, as a player, would like to play old Georgie again. That is a thing that I would like to do. But also, there's no way that old Georgie would let other people sacrifice themselves. So, of course, he was going to do everything in his power to try and rig things. But it's not really in his skill set. So, literally, that was the only thing I had. And yeah, I got absolutely trumped by the I can't even remember what the spell was now.
It was charm person.
Charm person.
But it was because I did it through complete subtlety with the aberrant mind sorcerer's capabilities. That
It did occur to me that maybe I should have had an extra couple of points to my saving throw because I was stood near to Handy. But story-wise, it worked out fine.
Was Handy still a paladin then, or have they broken their vows?
That's a discussion for another time, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just only one level of warlock, so it's still some paladin in there.
Yeah, right.
You just feel the paladin drain out of you and the warlock filling up. You're like, oh no.
Not again.
Oh, what have I done? Oh, all those horses died for nothing.
For that.
I am glad that we got to see a little hint of what the Domain of Dread might be like with Hansi the Bone Lord. I have written down. That is what you said on stream. In charge.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that we did throw out mention to Jim as well, so we know Jim is there.
Jim is there. Jim is legal counsel. Jim always represents the prosecution.
Yeah.
Whenever any dastardly criminal enters into the former Bone, the Domain of Dread, formerly known as the Bone Town.
That's what's on
What's
the
it going to be called now?
Justice
Town.
World.
Something about the justice, isn't it?
Justice Land. Justice.
Everyone's favourite theme park.
with an animated Hansi waiting on the sign.
Or from Red Dwarf, the Justice Zone.
It could be worked with.
Who would play? Okay, so we've now got Jim, who is a level 1 skeleton warlock. Who would play Jim? If not a DM.
Who would play Jim? Sorry, are we talking about the television adaptation or the role together?
No, I just meant if you ended up in a situation where would any of you want to play level 1 skeleton warlock Jim, or do you think there'd be someone who would be like, yes, we should get them playing that character?
We have
in a campaign
vaguely talked about doing a weird Law and Order version. Where again, the intense drama and the romance, but then we come in and everyone's just skeletons and going, Your Honor! Ancient law, you're like, cool, that's 4,000 years old. He's like, but we found it in the book. And Hansi's just
I am
sitting
regretting
on
making this suggestion.
No, I think it's going to be great.
We've got funding lined up. Everyone's excited. Yes. We've been renewed for a second season before we even started.
I'm not sure how we got 12 episodes.
Judge Handy.
Yeah.
Who would be perfect? I think, to be honest, I would just love to see Ali be Jim. I think it'd be so funny. That would be just perfect. There is no other casting
this group
option.
needs no further chaos. If someone's going to play Jim, that needs to be the straight person who, when Hansi is I'm going to grow some flowers over there on top of that person's head, is we should ask the person first.
I don't think you end up in a situation being consumed by the gorger by living life practically by the kind of straight and narrow. You've got to be a bit of a chaotic risk taker to be consumed by a slow moving ball of bones.
Hansi went for a nice walk and then got, oh dear, oh help, I'm being kidnapped.
No. If you're playing a warlock, you've got to have that level of charisma, right? You can't just be oh no, you can't do that. That would be bad.
But everyone loves Jim. That's established. He's really nice. And then when we finally met him, he's just hey, we're hey, it's Jim. Yeah.
Nice Jim.
Nice Jim.
Nice Jim. Have you ever met a Jim that wasn't? That's...
Well...
Okay, let's not go down that.
Yeah, let's yeah.
Post in chat any evil Jims that you know. Sure, yeah, you were going to say anything earlier.
I was wondering about Liz to play Jim, actually. Well, Liz would be a good side skeleton to Handy's Bone Lord.
Well, we'll leave that with them. So we know what Hansi's Domain of Dread might look like. I just called you Hansi. Handy.
It's fine.
He called himself Hansi at one point.
No. I think it's fine.
Objection! Your Honor! I might be a simple sovereign skeleton, but even I know this. Yeah, you drink that water, Your Honor.
What would everyone else's character's Domain of Dread be? If it ended up that Bo did draw the short straw, what would Bo's Domain of Dread be?
Oh, that's fair. I don't know. I was umming and ahhing with exactly where he would go with it. Oh, he said he would want to throw it. He'd want to be able to deal with bullies. So he would, I think he would look at turning it into, in a very childish way, of one massive playground where the bullies then get picked on by the good kids, and so that they get to feel what it's like to be bullied until they learn their lesson, and then then he'll let them kind of like leave the playground to a nicer area of whatever that domain will be.
Where are you getting these so-called good kids that are then turning into the bullies themselves? Or are they like just manifestations? Are they actually, have you just gone and kidnapped and been like, hello, you're a good child. Would you like to be a bully for a while?
Or did you just summon an aberration again?
Probably, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
an
that
army
sounds
of
really good.
aberrations.
Starspawns.
I just, started some. I'm sure with all those warlord powers, I'd be able to have a couple going at the same time. So multiple star spawns, and just having them bully the bullies effectively.
And a Starspawn would give a pretty awful wet willy.
Sorry, my read on that was not. It's like, what? Okay.
Someone else want to save us with their version of it? What would old Georgie's have been?
I think old Georgie's would have to have been something theatre related. So probably just endless amounts of backstage. Just.
And you can never find the prop you're after.
I mean, if we were going for evil domain of dread, probably, but
It has to be evil. It's a domain of dread.
Yeah.
It has to be some dread.
Could it be? Yeah, I have no idea.
There was an option for it not to be a domain of dread, but you didn't negotiate that way, so...
Oh, sorry, what?
You do realise you have to skin these people, Sam. That's part of it.
It could always
Everyone's
be
being
5 minutes before the show.
So
Yeah.
when
That
we
never
said
actually happens.
Ooh.
when we said domain of bread, was that genuinely an option, Emma? You didn't disclose it to us. Endless bakeries.
I like the forever 5 minutes before the show, and you can't quite remember what your first line is, and you don't know where your prop is, even though there's a list that tells you exactly where everything is. You can't find the location.
You can find everyone else's, but they're all going around holding yours, probably going, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And they're like, you remember the dance? You remember how we've changed it? And you're like, oh. And they're like, the critics are in tonight.
Every performer's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And just every 5 minutes, there's a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not wearing trousers.
That's
Again.
not a malfunction. That's just lazy.
It's just a happy accident.
You keep catching the trousers on nails and they keep ripping off, and it's very embarrassing. And then
Why are you
your
wearing
mum's there
stripper
going,
trousers, Tom? Why are you wearing stripper trousers?
why are you not? You never know when you need to escape.
Quick changes.
In an emergency, always wear Velcro remove trousers. This is what we all have learned. Lola,
That's
what would
to live by.
Irai's domain of dread be?
I mean, Irai was quite clear that Z was not gonna sell it. Like, Z had a job to do, so was not gonna get involved in this.
You did consider it
What?
briefly, though.
Yes, he did. I think it was. I think if Z had a choice and could aggregate all of the people Z was looking for into the domain of dread, it would just be this kind of dark forever place that the sun didn't rise, but apart from one kind of maybe room, and I think Z would be happy somewhat, because then they'd know that the rest of the planes were safe, even if like where they were was crap. But it's like it would have been happy that they'd done their duty.
Mm-hmm. But all the people that Zay had found, would they have their powers, or would they just be trapped under Irai's thrall? Like, how does the domain of dread work? Like, would they have just been equivalent to skeletons?
Doesn't need to be skeletons. It was skeletons because of Georgie's mum. So the domain could have, you could have put all these really dark people in the domain that's completely full of blinding lights. They're in agony forever. It's up to the person. Or you could be Irai and just be like, no, I shall live in my room, and all these people are trapped. So good.
Why was Georgie's mum so into bones?
Because I really liked the concepting of it.
Cool.
And she was like an evil warlock.
Yeah, it makes
Hence
sense.
the bone.
You get an aesthetic and you just run with it. Just like,
Yeah.
cool bones. Yeah.
Also, the bone katamari, the skeleton katamari, is an excellent visual. Was that an existing monster, or is that something you created?
No, it is. I used a stat block that exists, but it's not the thing, and I changed it, so I guess I did make it sort of.
I just remember in the
not my
session
thing.
0 you going, how do you feel about bones? Because
Oh yeah.
If we've got problems, we've got problems.
Yeah.
Also, I love the implication that at one point you're like, if you're not comfortable with it, it's fine. Really, was it?
I could have
What was the
changed it.
alternative?
I don't know. Rivers of blood. Who knows?
Heard you didn't like bone, but so here's bristle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
viscera.
Well,
So in the realm of incredible M creations, the hag that licks your memories.
Yes.
Oh.
What
Right,
a
so-
great concept.
as Sam will tell you, I'm apparently obsessed with food, and
Taste people.
I mean, there's been pickles and sausage rolls that are now thoroughly embedded in Roll Together canon because of you. But no. We'll ignore that. Not obsessed with food.
The Bake
she
Off went
wants to
fine.
know. We do not discuss the Bake Off. She wants to know. She wants to know stories, and she gets them. Basically, those little things that were running around you, they go away and fetch stories. Then she eats them to learn what they saw. So this was kind of a slight modification on that. Tom's tongue is now a little tongue parasite that's going to go and learn some stories, and then not Tom, Hips, obviously.
No, Tom.
No, Tom's.
I'm afraid Tom's got to chew his own tongue out now, so...
And then at some point it's going to be like, can we go back to the Shadowfell now so I can tell Mummy the stories?
Oh, good, my tongue's talking to me.
I don't think I clocked the full extent of that. Does Pip know that his tongue has a parasite, or is
No.
it just a blue dot? Okay.
He doesn't know the blue dot's there because, as we said, if he does, he's going to try and chew it out.
Yeah.
So it's just there now. So that's... Oh, he's going to go back and knock, and it's like, what's up with your tongue? And he's like, oh no, get a knife. No, please don't.
This is an element that we hadn't discussed. Actually, it's a good job that old Georgie was not left in the domain of dread, because it's now his job to prevent Pip from ever looking in a mirror.
Oh, if you told Pip that that's a representation of your soul and your soul could get out of the mirror, he would probably evolve. He was like, yep, that makes sense. Evil mirrors, got it.
Old George is also canonically not a great liar. I think, I don't have his stats up right now, but I think it's like a -2 to all charisma rolls.
Fun. And yet he's so lovable. Must have some charisma in there.
No, just intelligent.
No.
Nope.
Fair enough. I will roll a dice at some point soon, I promise. I wanted to ask Em though. So obviously the setup was a domain of dread, and everyone that was there was people who had known Georgie and then died. Did you expect things to get so existential at the end? Even though it was all to do with death. And
I
the
knew
afterlife and all
that it was quite severe. Like the idea that anyone you meet could potentially end up not going to wherever it is they want to go and end up here instead is quite a tough concept. Not everyone there was someone who'd known old Georgie. Some of them had moved in because it was a nice place for undead to live. But yeah, I knew that was going to be quite a big conversation.
Wait, how did they move in?
They came through the mist like you did.
Okay, and then they just were like, cool, I'm just going to strip my
We'll
flesh, flay myself, and just hang out.
Yeah,
Nice.
like you do when you move
I
house.
think they probably just died and came back as probably a little bit easier than deciding to flay themselves. You know?
Sorry, he's coding. Sorry, he does this. He's seen the laptop and he's on the laptop.
He's making a website. He's updated
You
the
can
wiki.
too with today's sponsor.
Just 4 easy payments.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I was going to say, okay, so yeah, people could come along through the mists, and if they weren't skeletons, they would have to flay them. Do you think that they would eventually set up like a little like a cafe where you could go and like have a biscuit, get flayed, like a welcome?
I think you'd probably just
get flayed.
eventually, as Lula says, eventually you would die, and then you would come back as a skeleton. So it's kind of irrelevant. And there was already like the one cafe run by the grumpy cleric. So.
Like there, do you need a biscuit first? You're like, have a biscuit. Oh, this is really delicious, and then your skin just falls off. You're like, oh, and like you enjoyed your biscuits. So
Also, would all the biscuits not just be like small meat patties, or water,
Or bone.
or bread, or bone meal? Oh, come on, Stitch, you need to be better than this. It's 100% ass right there.
why are you like
Very
this?
exciting.
So would it be a cafe or would it be a bone lingerie?
Sorry, bone lingerie. I've gone a very different direction this boneyard. Well, they do call it the boneyard. Come on, lie down, have a good time.
And my other question about the boneyard is, and you might not be able to answer this, but is it anything to do with Rack and Ruin?
No, because I don't know who. Well, I do know who Rack and Ruin is, but it's very vague who Rack and Ruin is. I think Chris has plans for Rack and Ruin, so I'm just leaving it alone.
Fair. All right.
No, the Masters of the Domains of Dread are their whole entirely separate entity. So there's a few threads coming off this, which is, who's in charge of the Domains of Dread and why. There's also the gang war that's happening in Waterdeep between the Zentarum and the Xanathar Guild, which, has been alluded to in 2 of my campaigns now. So it's definitely happening. So yeah, those are the kind of the main.
And this
What are you
plot is
laughing at,
happening off stage. What are you laughing at, Tom?
Was it on your board of?
Yes. Also, the fact you're like, so it's definitely happening. So I keep dropping references, so it's definitely going to happen. Also, the fact where again, like with the Rack and Ruin, I was like, Pip knows a war is coming at some point. And he's like, it's going to kill him, but he's like, could be the Rack and the Ruin, could be the Seelie and the Unseelie. So I just know there's going to be fighting. I just have to be ready. Yeah.
Is the implication here, Em, that there will be another All-Bard campaign that's just West Side Story? Because if so, I know a guy who's there for it, okay? I'll do all the dance moves, trust me.
Just do one of the dance moves.
I mean, I didn't have that in my mind, but I do now, so let me sit on it.
Watch this space. Well, with that, we're half an hour into this. I am going to roll that dice.
Roll that.
Dice. I mean, we're probably going to end up covering some stuff that we might have already discussed anyway, but we'll see.
Also, my domain of dread is just spooky trees.
Oh, I didn't get to Pip. I'm so sorry, Pip.
That's fine. It's like the game Slender. There's something in the woods, and it's going to be following you.
Oh,
It's going to always look.
It's just nutmeg, and you have salad in your pocket.
Absolutely. In folklore, it's the big thing of going, that thing looks like a deer. It's not a deer. That's the deep fear of just going, you're out in the dark, deep woods, and there's something after you, and you're like, just that for eternity. Good luck.
Right,
Blair
thanks,
Witch.
Tom. I needed those nightmares tonight.
You're very welcome.
Wonderfully spooky.
Be glad that the voice was like, no, you've already signed yourself over to someone else.
I'm half expecting all of these Domain of Dread ideas to turn up in the question dungeons at some point now. Just like a room which is, what would your Domain of Dread be? Each character.
I don't know. Have we been taking notes? I have not.
I mean, I have a feeling it might be recorded.
I need to start. But yes, good.
Yes, good.
We should be asking, adding more questions to the list because it's a funny thing. We have so many questions in so many rooms, and yet the same ones keep coming up. So
People
I
like
need to
making
diversify even
dresses.
more.
It's fine.
Right?
Oh, he's going to make a dress. Okay.
I got the 69 room. I feel cheated.
Yeah.
I managed to get the same room twice.
It's true.
That's impressive.
Nope, we're not doing this again.
And that's
Anyway.
no one's fault but Tom's, but not just
True.
bluffing that he rolled a different number.
I'm an honest cheater. What can I say?
Okay, I rolled a 13. So to the players, would any of your previous characters have solved/sorted this campaign in a jiffy if they were there? I imagine it might have been tricky because none of them would have been old Georgie.
To be fair, difficult question for me to answer. Would any of my characters have had the chance to be there? No.
It would have been funny. It's like, I'm looking for old Georgie. It's like, absolutely not me.
I mean, you did that. It just would have been believable.
That's true. I could have the one that's jumping into my mind is Roberto, is the one who would be the most displeased as to being there. Is it, well, that bastard, stupid cheating turtle.
Barto and old Georgie, do they have beef?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh no, wait.
Yeah.
No, it's all come back to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I've
to
caught up
the
again.
story.
hmm
That has always been headcanon for me.
Nice.
Just glad I finally had a chance to bring it up.
For those who are unaware, Roberto is a Harengan, so a hairfolk person. Georgie being a turtle person. I'll let you finish that addition. Does anyone else have any other ideas of characters that would have been like, I know how to solve this problem. I know how to debone people.
I think Reggie would have liked to have been there. You know, could have hung out with some bone people. I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Had I known there was quite such a high density of bones, he would have come along. But alas, it would have come out of retirement.
Just running after the group. Like,
If Reggie had the chance to go to Bone Town, he would have been there.
Reggie, attracted by the boners. Yeah. Okay.
You did it now.
I remember before one of the records, you were like, okay, you can't just say bone in front of everything. We're like, oh, can't we?
No, you said you weren't allowed to.
Yeah, it was bone flute, because we're very, very sure that I should not say bone flute.
Bone flute.
Could say bonobo though.
And we do.
Bonobo.
The players were like, a flute made of bones, a bone flute.
Is anyone else going to save us from this line of questioning?
Just going down the list, and I was like for Zeleny would just be so very confused and out of just like, no, what's happened? Why? It's like, oh, sacrifice is like, well, that's bad. That shouldn't happen. I think again, like Pip going, well, I don't want you to die, but actually maybe Zeleny would just be like, yeah, maybe we should just kill him. Oh no, oh dear, evil. Yeah. Will be.
Am I
Just send
evil
Will
now? I
be. If in
guess I'm
doubt, Will
evil.
be.
Send Will be.
I'm evil. I think no one's going to stop me this time. Yeah, just send Will be out into the boneyard.
Could Wilby have absorbed all of the bone juice?
Yes.
Which I assume was hanging around, right? There was a layer of broth bubbling away underneath.
There was
right?
no broth underneath.
Grim conversation.
It was
Boner.
very dry. It was a dry boner. Look.
Oh.
Oh, look at that! I've rolled that dice. And, I've rolled 3. Were there any moments where the players took things in a completely different direction to what you were expecting?
Yes, Em.
Without
there?
saying the words bone.
Were there? In the first episode, Sam was like, yeah, my character's really fun and Australian and happy. I was like, that's not what you sent me. That's not what we would
Wrong.
Yeah.
It's like sad Jackman. It's like, oh no, I'm going to have such a nice time today. Okay, we're living with it. It's fine.
And then throughout, I was like, all that needs to happen is for old Geordie to go and meet the Lady of the Bone and sort this problem out. And Sean was like, I'm not meeting her. It's not happening. I'm running away. And then there was the end of one episode where Tom was like, yeah, we're going to get on Meg and we're just going to ride into the distance. I was like, all right, great. Well, that's going to be an interesting next session then.
It was just going to be handy fighting the Gorger. And then like everyone else chasing Georgie or running away with Georgie.
But no, it was great. I sort of forced Sam's hands in the end, so that wasn't really a surprise. Maybe a surprise for Sam.
And what about from the other perspective for the players? What surprised you most about it?
I mean, I legit thought Sam was going to walk out in the first episode. Right, didn't kill your dad. Right, goodbye. Like, okay. Is it like a surprise new character's going to walk in? It's like, I've got a second character. Yeah, no, just... As I said, never trusted it. Always thought it was going to be weird, necrotic nonsense. And then would have liked to have seen an entire episode of us just riding across the desert going, we can never go back. You can absolutely run away from your past.
Legend says they're still riding.
Yeah. Just the fact that an entire Waterdeep was built, it was like, just the thing of like, oh, you go to the Savoy, and we're like, all of us are like, what?
Yeah, that got me out.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't expecting it to actually be linked to Georgie's parents, because when we first, back in Windfall and Waterdeep developed like the character, I gave this kind of stuff just like, oh yeah, left in a box with these items, presuming it would be some sort of, maybe kidnapped from the clutch or something like that. But to actually make it, no, your mum tried to sacrifice you. Oh. This is me and not Tom playing this character, right?
To be fair, she didn't try to kill you when you were a baby. She was trying to save you when you were a baby. It's only after she'd lived there for 50 years and was done with it that then she tried to kill you.
Fair.
Fair.
I'm imagining
right?
that in character.
No.
It's like, technically, I saved you. So a little bit of gratitude would be appreciated.
I think I said
I'll
something
get on the
along
altar.
those lines in episode 4.
Yeah.
You've had 50 years. What more do you want? I have sacrificed. Now it's your turn. It makes perfect sense.
There's like all of the toxic parents in the world.
Yeah.
So many people know this and feel this. When you were 2 years old, I took you to Legoland. So now you must sacrifice for me. Thanks, Mum.
Oof.
No. Lola, Nick, any surprising moments for you?
I think any surprises were just the consequences of my own actions. It was very much it's the whole the hag that like eats people for stories, and then a hero is like, oh, how about we tell you stories instead? And it's like, oh shit, now we have to tell stories. So I was like, oh no.
But opened up a great opportunity for a lot of characters to be like, here's some backstory that we never usually get to share in such short campaigns, because it's never relevant for a character to be like, what's your trauma, so that was great.
No, but I was just like, oh dear, why have I done this to myself?
If it helps, that was one of the solutions I had for you not getting eaten by the hag. So I was trying to make you make that choice for the joy of the DM manipulating everybody. Yeah.
What would have happened if she ate us?
It just a bit of standard combat.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I thought we were just saying that. Yeah.
If she actually ate you, she'd gain all your memories.
That'd be really
And then we get to play as her, as we mind control this.
That was my second character.
Each of us would have to take turns in the driver's seat of her.
Yeah, it's being John Malkovich. Okay, I now actually really want to DM that campaign.
Just walking in. Hello, mother. It's me, old Georgie. I've come to fight you. And you're like, it's just a hack. It's like, nope, it's me, your boy. Do it, Sean. Put it on the list. I want to see it. It'd be great. I control the right arm.
Add it to the
That's the
very long
GoBot,
list.
isn't it?
Yeah.
How about you, Nick? Any particularly surprising moments?
I was very impressed with where it went. I wasn't expecting the ending point of one of us actually having to stay behind and take control of this domain of dread and effectively being pinned to a specific location. So that was a nice little thing that I wasn't expecting to see. Serious consequence to all of our actions combined. It was very, very cool. That. And actually, just your first description of the boneyard when we arrived and I landed in it, and the fact that it was like constantly bright and white. I don't know why, but in my head, I had expected it to be like this horrible, dank, dark place. I'm like, no, it's fair. Lots of bones, lots of sunlight shining. Yeah, very bright. Yeah, okay. And that really took me by surprise, strangely enough. But yeah, that just threw me.
Especially like for a domain of dread, you expect it to be like dark and gothic and mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, Pip just described trees and Slender Man. I'm terrified. Like, that's what I thought I was going into, and it's like massive pile of bones. And by the way, we'll just do some yoga while we're here. So it was, yeah, just like, oh, okay, love it. It's great.
Nice.
I don't know about anyone else. I genuinely persuaded myself so hard in my head that it was Georgie's dad because of the way. Georgie, my boy, come here. I was like, cool, it's going to be a nice old turtle. We're going to have a good time. I was so surprised by the fact that the bone lady was not nice. Like, it was such a twist to me, and it really shouldn't have been because it was forecast so far out. I was like, cool, we're going to have a really lovely time, Georgie's dad will be here.
The shocked Pikachu meme where you're just like, huh? What? Evil?
I think we were all shocked when it was like, oh crap, and the whole Georgie being stabbed whilst we were all off screen elsewhere. So.
We're just having a chat outside and then just like... There is an alternate version where we just went to bed and we're like, yeah, Georgie's dead. And we're like, oh, I guess we live here now.
Drinking out of bone china. Yeah, how do we not have Bo? Like, that would have just been Georgie died, and eventually we went home. Cool.
See, to tie that back into the previous one, you were saying about, like, any of the other characters solved it any better. Absolutely not, because the fact that I could link to minds as Bo is the one reason he was the best of all my characters to do this, because he was able to constantly know what was going on.
Personally, I don't think we would have got there without her, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe we would have.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Did you, when you were creating Irurai, did you know that there was going to be a need to do some planes hopping? So you were like, a bit of Planeshopper Ranger.
I was
like,
kind of like, this is the character that I'm thinking, because this is the backstory, and I sent this to Em, and Em was like, good, I'm going to lean very heavily on this to do this. I was like, okay.
Great. Always love that when a player comes to you with a proposal that's like exactly what you've been thinking or needing. It's very handy, very convenient.
Do I sense portals? Yes, you do. Go that way. Okay.
Can't open them yet, but...
Yet.
Know where they are.
Yeah. Sometimes
right,
they're in a
freedom.
sewer. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit more time left, so I'm going to roll that dice.
Roll that dice.
Okay. So I have rolled number 6, which is what was your saddest moment? But there were so many sad moments in the final episode. I want to start with a quick fire round of what was the funniest moment, and then we can talk about the sad.
Oh god, they probably got edited out because we were laughing too much.
yeah.
One that stayed in, when we got busted outside the theatre and we instantly went into, right, okay, we'll, like, Hansi was like, I will dress up as old Georgie, we'll dress up as each other, and just, we went into this thing, and then we were like, none of that could happen, because literally they opened the door and just pointed at us, and we're like, well, let's run. Just, again, yeah, too much of it, just, we got terrible giggles.
There were at least 3 really bad giggly fits, and I don't know why. I can't remember why.
All of them were
anymore.
a miss.
Sam, I swear to
I don't know
That might be one.
5 seconds before disaster, I was like, he's gonna do the thing.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Oh no.
Audience, that went on for like 10 minutes.
It's
Anyway,
your
so-
own fault, Sam.
I don't think there was any real moment for me that I found especially funny. Quite a dry campaign,
I
really.
thought it was the whole you going, us entering the mist, you getting whacked for like 18 damage or something stupid like that. And they went, oh, so bad today.
It's like, never get bad back.
I just decided, I was like, needs a visit to the chiropractor. He's quite old, gets hit. Cool, we'll commit to this. Hadn't clocked quite how much damage it would be. Would have killed several commoners.
That was
I just loved when Georgie and Pip were like, no, we're not doing this. We're riding off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Like, duty calls and we're rejecting the... Or whatever, that works for me. Or like, Nutmeg just like tearing apart this house.
That wasn't even the bit after I died. She was just angry about
She was
not
angry.
She didn't get included in conversations, and she just decided to kick the furniture for a bit.
She is a queen. Did you not know?
Absolutely.
Disrespect.
Also, the thing, I was like, okay, so I know Nutmeg, and then just bamping her back into the necklace, and it's just like, oh no, yeah, oh, Georgie really cares. Watch her disappear into the necklace as my body's being stuffed into a bag. And I'm like, yeah, my friends love me. Real respect. Real love.
there was also just this wonderful 2-hour long period, which I think everyone could probably recall, where we were sat down for dinner and we decided to make conversation with everybody on every table adjacent to ours, and you could just see Em going there's plot that needs to happen, and yet there we were.
Please don't talk to the shy woman. She doesn't want to talk to you. But what if she's my friend? She's not your friend, Tom. Move on.
Shy woman.
For me, it was the pauldron. The pauldron from the very first episode.
I'm
The
playing
whole
this
bit in the
peaceful
sewers.
character.
I wasn't expecting you to give it up.
Well, I was like, this is the right thing to do in order to make the world a better place. But I don't know if I misread, because I'd said, you go to work and here's your payment, effectively. And then Em suggested that he wasn't going to go to work. And I thought it was fundamentally unjust, and therefore the only solution was violence. However, then we finished the record and I sat down. I was like, his character was meant to be peaceful. And I thought about what Em had said. I was like, I'm not even entirely sure this guy wasn't going to go to work. There was a big...
No, he wasn't. He was going to nab your pauldron and fuck off.
Oh, God. Because I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, I butchered this. First of all, meant to be as a serious campaign. I'm sorry, Em. You chose the wrong guy for the job. Number two, also, I genuinely believe for the next 7 days that this guy was going to go to the Savoy and do some work, and I'd assaulted him, broken his nose, and stolen the money I'd paid him.
Exactly. Put him
Due
in
to
your...
a misunderstanding.
You paid him, and then you said, I'm going to break your legs, broke his nose, tried to kill
Kill his
him.
legs, that was it.
You're on a list somewhere. They're like, if you see this guy, kill him on sight.
Oh, that's the actual reason why you didn't come back.
Yeah.
There's entire and after you.
Handy is one of those people that is the reason that when adventurers come into town, all the common folk are like, oh, adventurers have turned up again.
He's also the reason there's all those weird signs up, don't take pauldrons for payment. My wife at her college in the canteen, there is now a sign that says, please don't put whole croissants in the toaster. I will not elaborate.
Not a whole one, Sam. You couldn't put a whole one in there. Please tell us otherwise. A little bit of croissant, I understand. But a whole one?
Sometimes an adventurer has to do what an adventurer has to do, and the world doesn't like it.
You say it's the toaster buns.
Look, someone was going to become the master or person in charge of the Domain of Dread, and clearly Sam is the right person for the job.
Not
The dice chose
Sam,
well.
Sam.
Sam.
Not the hand.
It's not the hand, no, Sam. Let's put Sam in charge.
Except this huge handy skin suit. There is Sam on some stills.
Does Handy have skin left? He was mostly skeleton.
He's had some skin. He just was... his bones were erupting from places that they shouldn't have been.
As in all over.
We never really spoke about why fully. Is that
Why,
something
Sam?
you want to get into, or
That would probably require another adventure and an exploration of poor interpretations of religious creed.
right?
Yeah, sorry, you wouldn't know, but the hand did not end up the character he was designed to be.
Really?
No,
Kidding.
you wouldn't know.
Are there other limbs out there since Roniston are like, hello, I'm the leg. I'm just picking. Or like Lord of the Rings, I'm the mouth. I just talk. I just tell people.
I've already got this thing going on with Clint and his siblings. There's no reason why there can't be 4 more hands.
That's the new campaign. Hello, we're the 5 hands. We never said he was humanoid.
No.
St. Hornison's hands, St. Hornison's knees, St. Hornison's toes, St. Hornison's knees, St. Hornison's toes.
Yeah. And eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Go on then. Just before we finish, let's play the Sadness Olympics.
Pip dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it didn't end up being sad in the end, did it? So that was a shame.
That's fine.
I think Pip should have died.
Yeah.
And the worst bit about that, it was my stupid decision that brought him back.
If you hadn't done the thing with the diamond, Pip might have moved on. Yeah. Also, the fact that I said, well, that was the thing, I was never deserving of love. That was a mistake. And I was just like, Jesus, Tom. Come on. Just having a little pity party by a pool while a giant stag man just stands there. He's like, well, you done fucked it, boy. I'm like, yeah, I did. Soz. Pip's dying words. Soz.
Hold on.
Sozzles. I mean, also, I think just in general, you know, the fact that we said, like, the whole thing about bad parents and just gone, yeah. And also the fact that Georgie's dad actually seemed to be a decent guy, but everyone, you know, the people were hearing was like, oh, he was weak and kind. You're like, well, he was a carpenter. He's just it turns out he's also a necromancer, but we don't need to get into that. He made evil chairs. It's fine.
He's not a necromancer. The whole point was that, by contrast, it was like, you have a parent who is nice compared to this horrific
that you
nightmare
never get to
over
meet.
here. Well, no, turtles don't generally get to meet their parents, so that's not.
Why?
Because they have children at the end of their lives.
Oh, so I thought it was like some kind of law thing, like which is weird because they have children at the end of they live for a long time, unless they don't. Have
50 years.
Oh,
You'd think they'd live longer because turtles.
They're
but
turtles.
One of the
Yeah.
most ridiculous. Yeah.
Completely threw me. But the more you
will
were
be
talking
right.
about it, 'cause I've never looked into it, the more you were talking about how you're at the end of your life, I'm like going, oh, why is he just making this up? Why is he giving up the ghost? And then it wasn't until we got halfway through that I was like, I really should have looked more into turtles, but I really haven't. So I'm just kind of running with this. Like, oh,
what
crap.
was it? I loved Em arguing with me that 50% of people don't live past life expectancy. I was like, I'm pretty sure Georgie can have a very happy life for a very long time, especially after the misery that they've been through. But no, okay. D&D.
He's gonna have it. He's gonna have a very long and happy life. It'll just be mysterious.
That was the thing I realised, because at the end of that I said, no, not you can't do it. We're both in that. I thought it was like the mother was weirdly keeping him alive, and it's like, now you've got over your age. Old Georgie's just going to start dying, and we're just going to have to deal with that. And I'm like, no, we're having to do the bucket list with old Georgie. What do you want to do? Do you want to go up a mountain? I'll take you up a mountain.
I'll be the first D&D character to die of old age on stream, I think.
See, now that's upsetting me. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want it. You're going to live forever, old Georgie. You're going to outlive us all. We'll find your new domain of dread. You could be king.
So Georgie's mum must be like 100. How is she still alive? Just weird magic.
All of
magic.
dread.
Do you just live forever?
If you are, it's like Strahd. If you are every time you
can't die.
every time you die, you come back because this is your own personal little hell that you can't escape.
So, like Judge Judy, the handy,
Mine handy, yes.
I'm sure Judge Judy appreciates
Handsy the
being
Bone
handy. Yes,
Handsy Bone
carry
Lord,
on.
Like Judge Judy, the handy could go on for could get 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a Judge Judy movie.
There should be.
I'm hoping not.
Yeah, you are trapped there forever, but also you can't die. So
Congratulations.
you're new.
Sorry,
That works.
you've got set like 7 minutes left, Em. You got
No,
this.
it's embarrassing. It's like 8:30.
It's not even that.
You can't
Thanks,
say
Sean.
that on stream because
Thanks,
people
Sean.
have been like, we started at 7:20. How has this happened? Time. Any other contenders for saddest moment?
I think it was, for me, it was less Pip dying, it was Pip's response to dying and then how he acted when he came back, and the complete solitary cutting off and be like, nope, don't deserve love, I'm going to go off and do all this by myself. And it took pretty much every single one of us in the group to be like, no, stop it. Even Nutmeg wants to go back and see Ogden, so stop trying to run away from your problems and let's have a look at this. And that was really quite heart-wrenching. I was like, oh.
It's the hypocrisy that Pip has, where he's like, Meg is an independent creature, but I'm also going to make these decisions. And you're like, no, you're not. You're like, you're right, because I don't have any say. You're like, no, you do.
Yeah.
People love you, Pip. You've got to accept that. Again, bad parents who we murdered, supposedly. Something happened in that backstory. Yeah. Good resolution. Yeah.
Shout out to, there was someone
How
in
many-
chat who was like, is this Tom reaching ultimate poppet?
I've got to get there eventually. If I'd left, then it would just be like, again, Pip losing his humanity and just probably just turning into a stag and just like, right, I live here now. This is fine.
Is that how stags are born?
Yeah. In this world as well. Yeah.
There was also one where Georgie was like, I want to be the Bone Lord because I have nothing to live for, and I have no value. And I was like, no, you really do. I didn't even want to be the Bone Lord, but at that point it was just a zero-sum game.
It had to be. Yeah. So,
You're not the Bone Lord, Sam. You're the Justice Lord.
Sorry,
Pansy. The Justice Lord.
the Hansi,
No.
the Justice Lord.
The Hansi.
In Bone Town.
In Bone Town.
Yeah.
With Jim.
It sounds like it should be an animated children's TV show. Hansi, the Justice Lord.
Living at large in the Bone Town.
We'll put it on at the Savilife for a matinee. Fucking show.
Was here too.
And also Jim. Yeah.
Jim's just like, hey.
Hey. I did terrible crimes in life.
Jim's the guy who is just in the background, walks along in the background and of every single shot. Pip's coming over for tea. Oh, I wonder what we'll learn about today. Oh, the dramatically awful incarceration rates inside Waterdeep. How fun!
Door flies open. The gang wars got bad. Really bad.
dear.
Someone tried to kill Lariel. We need to go.
In the year 742, 63% of the Waterdavian population are currently behind bars. No one knows why, except for
Hansi! Hello, everybody!
Bum, bum.
It's now Law and Order? What?
It's just law and law.
Law and Bone?
Law and bone.
Jaw and...
I mean, I definitely
Order.
said chaos
Look.
rather than order. Surely. Dear me. Well, I don't think we've got time to go around and do another roll that dice question. But does
go
anyone
on.
have anything?
Go on.
Yeah, but
Speed round.
time,
Real
right?
speed round.
All right,
We can
okay,
do
a super speed round. Super
Yeah,
speed
okay.
round.
Cool. Everyone answer as long-winded as you can.
it. I won the badge.
It's rolled now. It's too late.
M. Sorry, everyone. Speed round for M. Were there any stories or elements from other books, films, plays, games, etc., that inspired you writing this campaign?
Not specifically. It's very heavily based on Tim Burton style stuff. But
Shout out to G's excellent poster mimicking that.
it was great. But nothing, not like, oh, I read La, and I, no, nothing specifically like that. Obviously, it has elements of like the Strahd Domain of Dread style and some other bits and pieces, and some pulling from Dragon Horde. Heist. Sean, what's that book called? A Heist of the Dragon Horde.
Waterdeep
Something.
Dragon Heist.
Yeah, thank you. That where the kind of the war between the Zentarum and the Xanathar kind of kicks off in that book. So
Yeah, and of course the 1950s one-hit wonder Hansi and the Bone Boys inspired you quite heavily moving
just
into
gotta
this.
have it in there. Look, the 4 skeleton barbershop choirs, perfect.
I used to listen to it on long car journeys. It's a classic. Yeah.
It's one of my favourite travel tunes, actually.
Singing whilst playing the washboard on their chest, ideal.
I think that's where we're gonna leave everyone with that nice little mental image. Thank you everyone for joining us. This was Talk Together. You'll find us here on Fridays, 6 till 7 p.m. GMT, talking about our D&D games. Or sometimes it's, thank you Sam, talking is a free action where we kidnap a person from a stream and we
Going in. Oh no! This is my domain of dread. Just that giant eye in the sky, just going. Well,
establishment here. You can find us here doing chat shows on Fridays, and on Mondays and Tuesdays we play our D&D games. That's 6 till 9 p.m. GMT. We're currently in the midst of our Christmas one-shots, so expect different things every day. And then all of this is on twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. VODs are available immediately after the stream to catch up. You can find all our content on YouTube a few days later, and podcasts as well. Thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters, and our D20 Club on Patreon. Thank you to Sam's camera.
I didn't even notice that one.
We are grateful to the sponsors.
We're seriously though. Thank you for supporting this, and
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.